Gangs of New York, Sacagawea, and Space Force are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is December 20th, 2022. It is the 354th day of the year. There are 11 days left in 2022. It is the 51st Tuesday in the 52nd week and the 90th day of fall. There's one day left until winter, tomorrow. Tomorrow's actually Google Pay Day too, which is always a good day. Yeah, if you don't know that, they pay you every month on the 21st for the month before. So I'm always excited on the 21st. If you want to help out this channel get bigger checks on the 21st, which we eventually give to teachers, make sure you leave a comment and a like, and the comment has at least 4 words. That seems to be a thing these days. Today is Sacagawea Day. Sacagawea Day is celebrated on December 20th each year to honor Sacagawea. She was the daughter of a Shoshone chief that traveled with the Lewis and Clark expedition and sort of worked as an interpreter for them. In the early 20th century, the National American Women's Suffrage Association adopted Sacagawea as the symbol of women's worth and independence, erecting several statues and plaques in her memory, and doing much to recount her accomplishments. She was only 16 when she took off with Lewis and Clark. This is an interesting fact about her. She actually became property of a French fur trader after the Lewis and Clark thing, and eventually became one of his wives in 1804. The origin of her name is a little bit disputed. That's because in 2 different tribes, I guess you could say, her name means 2 different things. It either means bird woman, which sounds nice and pleasant, but others believe that her name is from the Shoshone people, which means boat pusher. You imagine that if your name was up for interpretation and one of them was kind of bad? Like me, I'm James, which is brother of Jesus. But to Inuit people, it means man that takes many naps. All right, let's see what else December 20th has given us. 1803, the Louisiana Purchase is completed at a ceremony in New Orleans. 1832, HMS Cleo, under the command of Captain Onslow, arrives at Port Egmont under orders to take possession of the Falkland Islands. 1941, World War II, the first battle of the American Volunteer Group, better known as the Flying Tigers, goes down in China. Yes, in case you don't know, we had a bunch of American pilots that went over to help China fight the Japanese invasion. This is prior to the United States entering the war after Pearl Harbor. 1951, the EBR-1 in Arco, Idaho, becomes the first nuclear power plant to generate electricity. The electricity powered 4 light bulbs. 1984, the Summit Tunnel Fire, one of the largest transportation tunnel fires in history, burns after a freight train carrying over 1 million liters of gasoline derails near the town of Tudmorden, I hope I pronounced that right, in England. 2019, the United States Space Force becomes the first new branch of the United States Armed Forces since 1947. The last one was the Air Force. They were actually the Army Air Corps before that, and they changed over to the Air Force, became their own thing. But Space Force is our newest branch of the military, and, from a personal point of view, I think the name's stupid. But then when you consider we've got the Air Force, the Space Force, it kind of falls in line, but I still think they could have come up with a better name. Now, that's just me being a military veteran. I really thought it was a little bit of a joke, but I've watched videos of people that are in the Air Force and they're being transferred over to the Space Force thing, and these people seem really excited to do it. And so I've seen all those videos and I'm starting to think it's just me. Now, today, this is the deep dive because nobody really knows what they're doing. Sure, it has to do with the space and all that, but what are they doing? So I'm going to read to you from their website and what they say their mission is. The U.S. Space Force is a military service that organizes, trains, and equips space forces in order to protect U.S. and allied interests in space and to provide space capabilities to the joint forces. U.S. Space Force responsibilities will include developing guardians, which that's what they call their people. Like in the Army, your soldiers, in the Navy, your sailors. In the Air Force, your airmen, they're known as guardians. Anyway, they will be developing guardians of acquiring military space systems, maturing the military doctrine for space power, and organizing space forces to present to our combat commands. Now that's the explanation from their website. And what I've picked up in other locations is they're going to be dealing with a lot of our satellites and things like that, and the growing technologies that are going into orbit and space and everything else that encompasses. Now, there's another question on their website is, do we need a Space Force? Their website says, yes, Space Force has become essential to our security and prosperity. Unfettered access to space is vital to national defense. Space systems are woven into the fabric of our way of life, meaning the satellites and stuff. I mean, satellites take care of our phones, our internet, television. Most of our communications are done via satellite or via satellite, however you want to call it. Here's another question. Will there be Space Force bases? Yes. The answer is yes. The Department of the Air Force is basically reviewing installations they have right now and deciding which one will be designated for Space Force. There was another question, where will the Guardians come from and where will the Space Force units be coming from? And it's the Air Force. They are their own military unit, but right now they're sort of an off branch of the Air Force. In the coming years, I'm sure they're going to be just like the Army, Navy, Marines, and Air Force. So it should be interesting in the coming years to see how this all pans out. Movie's released on December 20th. This is an interesting one because this is the type of year we're right before Christmas and a lot of movies come out right before Christmas. So there was a lot to choose from. And we settled on 2002, Gangs of New York, directed by Martin Scorsese. The film takes place in 1863 and follows Amsterdam Valen, who has returned from jail, seeks revenge on his father's killer, Bill the Butcher. The film was inspired by the 1927 nonfiction book, The Gangs of New York by Herbert Asbury. This movie had a lot of big stars in it. Leonardo DiCaprio played Amsterdam Valen. There was Cameron Diaz, Liam Neeson, John C. Reilly. Daniel Day-Lewis played Bill the Butcher. Excellent role for him. He played that so well. If you've never seen Gangs of New York, that's one of the ones I would really suggest you go out and see, or, go out of your way to see. It hadn't been in theaters in decades, but it is an excellent movie. Directed, acted, just a great story. Born on December 20th, 1983, Jonah Hill rose to Hollywood stardom for his starring roles in Superbad and Knocked Up, and was nominated for an Academy Award for his role in Moneyball. Now, he used to be kind of the heavy-set gentleman that was in a lot of those movies like Superbad and Knocked Up and whatever. Get Him to the Greek, Wolf of Wall Street. This is the End, which if you've never seen that movie, it's great. He became a very good actor. In the beginning, he's just in those stupid comedies, and you thought, okay, he's just another one of these teen guys that's in these comedies. But no, he's turned into a legit actor. And he's lost a bunch of weight. He's no longer that chunky sidekick guy. While in college, he began writing and performing his own plays in New York City and became friends with Dustin Hoffman's children. He was born in Los Angeles, California. Died on December 20th, 2009, we lost Brittany Murphy, actress who starred in the comedy film Clueless and the drama 8 Mile. Her other well-known films include Don't Say a Word, Sin City, and Uptown Girls. I thought she was adorable and she was a great actress. Sadly, she died on this day in 2009. On December 20th, 2009 at 8 a.m., Los Angeles Fire Department responded to a medical request at a Los Angeles home of Brittany Murphy. She apparently had collapsed in the bathroom. Firefighters attempted to resuscitate Murphy on the scene. She was transported to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where she died at 10:04 a.m. after going into cardiac arrest. The autopsy was performed the day after she died, and Los Angeles County Coroner, in the report issued February 2010, said that the manner of death was accidental and the cause of death was pneumonia. She also had anemia and there was multiple drugs in her system. Nothing that was illegal, they were prescribed to her, but the coroner noted that because of her weakened state, these drugs may have affected her more severely. Now, there were a lot of different conspiracies about her death and her husband. They all surrounded Simon Monjack, but he said she was not doing drugs, there was nothing weird going on, and it was just a horrible accident from pneumonia. I just saw a thing recently where her brother was saying no, that she was actually murdered. Now, the following year on May 23rd, Monjack was found dead in the same Hollywood Hills residence. The coroner attributed his death to acute pneumonia and severe anemia. It was reported that the Los Angeles County Department of Health had considered toxic mold in the house as the possible cause of the deaths, but these were dismissed when the Los Angeles Assistant Chief Coroner, Ed Winter, stated no indicators of mold was a factor. Eventually, the family sued the builder of the home, and this went back and forth, and there was a smear campaign, and the builders tried to make it seem like she was just a drug addict. It was just horrible. The whole thing's a mess. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.